Good evening, night creatures. Tonight, we listen to the myth of Demeter, the great goddess of agriculture and harvest. Close your eyes. Let your body sink into the earth. Feel yourself rooted, grounded, safe, like seeds planted in rich soil, waiting to grow, waiting to bloom. We are beginning a journey back to the age of gods, when the harvest was sacred, when mothers grieved, when the seasons themselves were born from love and loss. Part 1. Birth, darkness, and the gift of grain. Settle deeper into stillness. Release every tension. Let your shoulders melt, your jaw soften, your hands open completely. Everything releases, everything rests, everything simply is. We begin in darkness, in the belly of a titan, in the crushing void where time has no meaning, where 5 divine children wait and suffer and endure. Breathe, slow, steady, as the ancient story unfolds like wheat bending in wind. Before there were seasons, before crops grew in cycles, before humans knew hunger and plenty, there was only the eternal sameness of the Golden Age, when the earth gave freely, when food was abundant always, when no one planted, no one harvested, no one worked, because everything simply was. But hidden in that abundance, trapped in impossible darkness, a goddess waited to be born, to be freed, to bring something new to the world. Not eternal plenty, but cycles, rhythms, the dance of growth and rest, of planting and harvest, of life and death and life again. Her name was Demeter. Let that name settle in your mind. Soft, ancient, nurturing. Demeter was the second child of Cronus and Rhea, after Hestia, before Hera, born in the age when the Titan King devoured his children, when fear of prophecy drove a father to impossible cruelty, when divine infants knew only darkness, only imprisonment, only waiting. Rhea gave birth to Demeter, held her for only moments, long enough to see her daughter's eyes, green like spring leaves, green like growing things, green like life itself, long enough to feel the warmth that radiated from this child, the promise of nurturing, of growth, of abundance. And then Cronus took her and swallowed her whole, powerless, separated from everything, powerless, separated from everything, from earth, from sun, from growing things, from everything she was meant to be. Inside Cronus's belly, in that impossible space, Demeter found her sister, Hestia, already there, already waiting, and together they held each other, comforted each other, in the timeless dark. Rest, as more siblings join them, as the family grows in darkness. Hera came next, the third daughter, proud even as an infant. She joined her sisters, 3 daughters now, holding each other, finding strength in each other, refusing to break despite impossible circumstances. Then Hades, the first son, cold, dark, accepting, he joined his sisters, 4 children now, 4 divine beings trapped together, waiting, enduring, growing in power even as they could not grow in body. Then Poseidon, the second son, wild even in confinement, smelling of salt and storm. He completed them, 5 children, 5 siblings, together in the crushing dark, supporting each other, loving each other, preparing for the freedom that must come, that would come, that they would make come. Demeter took a special role among them. She was the nurturer, the comforter, the one who held them when despair threatened, who whispered hope when darkness seemed eternal, who reminded them, "We are not dead, we are not defeated, we are waiting, and one day, we will be free, and we will remember this, and we will never, ever take freedom for granted, never take light for granted, never take growing things for granted, never take life for granted." Breathe deeply as years pass in timeless darkness, as the children grow in consciousness, in power, in determination, and then, after eons, after ages beyond counting, something changed. The darkness shifted, the pressure eased. Something was happening. Something was different. Zeus, the sixth child, the one who had escaped, the liberator, had given Cronus a potion, and the Titan King was vomiting, purging his divine stomach, releasing his children, one by one, in reverse order. Freedom. Finally. Freedom. Poseidon emerged first, then Hades, then Hera, and then Demeter. Let your mind see her, emerging, born at last into light and air. She stepped from Cronus's throat, and the first thing she did, the very first thing, before she even looked around, before she saw her siblings, before she acknowledged her freedom, was touch the ground, kneel down, place her hands flat on the earth, and breathe. Feel it with her, the solid earth, the ground, the soil, the foundation of all growing things, after so long suspended, floating in darkness. She needed to feel solid, grounded, real. She needed to touch earth, and the earth responded, recognized her, knew her. The ground beneath her hands warmed, softened, and plants began to grow. Wheat sprouted, barley emerged, flowers bloomed, green spread from her touch. Life responding to life. Growth recognizing its goddess. The earth welcoming its mistress home. Demeter smiled, for the first time in her existence. She smiled, because this was what she was meant to be. Goddess of growing things, of harvest, of abundance, of the earth giving life. This was her nature, her purpose, her divine calling. And finally, after so long in darkness, she could be what she was meant to be. She stood, looked around, saw her siblings, saw her brother Zeus, her liberator, and she joined them, united, free, ready to fight, ready to claim their place, ready to reshape the cosmos, sink into the war that followed, the Titanomachy. Let it flow past like seasons. The war lasted 10 years, gods against titans, young against old, new order against ancient power. Demeter fought, not with weapons, not with violence, but with her own power, the power of growth, of life, of the earth itself. She could make plants grow to entangle enemies, could create forests to block armies, could make the ground fertile or barren as she chose. Where she walked, life flourished. Where she withdrew her blessing, nothing grew. Starvation followed. Famine came. Her power was subtle, but devastating, essential, irreplaceable. The Olympians won. The Titans fell. Zeus took the sky, Poseidon the seas, Hades the underworld, and the sisters, Hestia, Demeter, Hera. They took their places on Olympus, goddesses of home, harvest, marriage, the foundations of civilization, the pillars of ordered existence. Demeter's domain was clear, obvious, undeniable. She was goddess of agriculture, of grain, of the harvest, of everything that grew from earth to feed humanity. Every crop, every field, every seed planted and stalk harvested, all belonged to her. All were her responsibility. All reflected her power, her blessing, or her curse. Rest as we explore what this means, what Demeter brings to the world. Before Demeter's influence, in the Golden Age under Cronus, food was simply available. The earth gave freely. Humans did not work, did not plant, did not harvest. They simply gathered what grew wild, what appeared without effort. It was paradise, but it was also stagnant, unchanging, without growth, without progress, without the satisfaction of labor rewarded, of seeds planted returning 100-fold, of harvest earned through toil and care. Demeter changed this, brought cycles, brought rhythm, brought the pattern of planting and harvest, of work and reward, of human effort blessed by divine power. It was harder, required labor, required planning, required care. But it was also better, more satisfying, more human, more real. She taught humans agriculture, showed them how to plant grain, how to tend crops, how to harvest, how to thresh, how to store, how to turn raw grain into bread, into sustenance, into life. She walked among mortals, taught them, guided them, blessed them with knowledge, with skill, with the ability to feed themselves, to create abundance through labor, to survive, to thrive. Wheat was her gift, barley, all the grains that would sustain humanity for millennia. She showed them which plants were food, which were poison, how to cultivate, how to improve, how to create abundance from wilderness, from chaos, from raw earth. She civilized humanity through their stomachs, through their need to eat, through her gift of agriculture. And in return, humans worshipped her, built her temples, gave her offerings, the first fruits of harvest, the best grain, the finest bread. They understood that Demeter's blessing meant life, her curse meant death. They prayed to her before planting, prayed during growth, prayed at harvest, thanked her for abundance, begged her for mercy in drought. She was essential, irreplaceable, the goddess you could not afford to offend, could not afford to ignore, because without Demeter, without her blessing, you starved, your children starved, everyone died. Breathe as we turn to Demeter's nature, her personality, her character. She wanted crops to prosper. She wanted crops to prosper. Wanted fields to be abundant. Wanted humans to be fed. Wanted children to be raised. Wanted life to continue, to thrive, to grow. This made her gentle, usually kind, generous with her blessings, quick to help those who honored her, who worked hard, who cared for the land, She was not vengeful like Hera, not proud like Athena, not competitive like the others. She simply cared, wanted things to live, to grow, to be nurtured. But she was also powerful, immensely powerful. Her power was life itself, growth itself, fertility itself. When she blessed, abundance followed, fields overflowed, harvests were magnificent, granaries filled, famine was forgotten, people prospered. But when she cursed, when she withdrew her blessing, when she turned away, crops failed, fields lay barren, starvation came, populations died, civilizations fell. Her power was absolute, over life, over growth, over everything that made existence possible. She was also a mother. This defined her more than anything else, more than being goddess of harvest, more than agriculture, more than grain. She was mother, and everything flowed from that. Her nurturing nature, her protective instincts, her fierce love, her devastating grief, all came from being mother to the most important being in her existence, to her daughter, to her beloved, to Persephone. Sink deeper as we approach the central story, the defining myth, the tale that created seasons. Demeter had a daughter, born of her union with Zeus, before Zeus married Hera, in the early days of Olympian rule, when the young king was still establishing his sovereignty, still sowing his seed across creation, still fathering children who would become gods, heroes, legends. Demeter and Zeus came together, not in great love, not in eternal commitment, but in the natural way of gods, in the union of earth and sky, of fertility and power, of goddess and king. And from that union, a child was born, a daughter, beautiful, innocent, perfect. Her name was Kor, the maiden. Later, she would be known as Persephone, queen of the underworld. But then, in the beginning, she was simply Kor, the girl, the daughter, the beloved. Her reason for existing, her joy, her reason for existing, her joy, her purpose, her everything, rest as we watch them together, mother and daughter, in perfect happiness. Demeter and Kor were inseparable. They walked together through fields, through meadows, through wild places where flowers grew and birds sang. Kor picked flowers, laughed, danced, and Demeter watched, smiled, basked in her daughter's joy, in her innocence, in her beauty, in her being. She could make flowers bloom with a touch of her hand. She could make flowers bloom with a touch, could coax plants to grow with a smile, could spread life simply by being happy, young, alive, innocent, protected. They needed one Thundrus. Innocent, protected. They needed nothing else, wanted nothing else. The world could continue forever this way, mother and daughter, together, always, of the dead, from the kingdom of the dead, from the kingdom of shadows. A god watched and wanted and planned to take, breathe deeply, as we approach the moment, the loss, the beginning of grief. Hades, lord of the underworld, king of the dead, ruler of shadows. He saw Kor, saw her beauty, her innocence, her light, and he wanted her, desired her, decided she would be his wife, his queen, his companion in the eternal darkness, in the realm of death, where no light shone, where no flowers grew, where everything was cold, dark, dead. He went to Zeus, asked permission. Zeus was king, was Kor's father, was the one whose blessing was needed. Hades said, I want the girl, Kor, Demeter's daughter. Give her to me. Let me take her as wife. Let me make her queen of the underworld. Give me your permission, your blessing, your agreement. And Zeus said, yes. Let that betrayal settle. Heavy, cold, devastating. Zeus agreed, gave his blessing, gave his permission, gave his daughter to Hades, without asking Demeter, without asking Kor, without considering that they might not want this, that they might object, that they might refuse. He simply decided, as king, as father, as God, that Kor would marry Hades, would become queen of death, would live in darkness forever. And he did not ask, did not consult, did not care. Hades waited, planned, chose his moment. One day, when Kor was in a meadow, picking flowers with companions, nymphs, other young goddesses, she wandered slightly apart, saw a beautiful flower, a narcissus, blooming alone, perfect, irresistible. She reached for it, touched it, and the earth opened, let the abduction unfold. Terrible, swift, complete. A chasm split the meadow. Darkness erupted from below, and Hades emerged. In his chariot, black horses, dark armor, the Lord of Death himself. He grabbed Kor, pulled her into the chariot. She screamed, struggled, reached for her companions, for the light, for her mother. But Hades was strong, determined, blessed by Zeus. He had permission, had right, had authority. The chasm closed. The earth sealed. Kor was gone, taken, stolen, dragged to the underworld, to darkness, to death, to a marriage she did not choose, did not want, did not agree to. She was gone, simply gone. The nymphs ran, terrified, seeking Demeter, seeking to tell, to explain, to confess that they had failed, had not protected, had let Kor be taken. They were afraid, ashamed, desperate. But they had to tell. Someone had to tell. Demeter had to know. Rest now. As grief begins, as the world changes, as everything breaks. Demeter heard the nymphs, heard their story, heard that Kor was gone, taken by Hades, dragged to the underworld, made queen of death, against her will, without permission, without choice. And something inside Demeter broke. Not broke like brittle things break, shattering into pieces, but broke like mountains break. Slowly, massively, completely, irreversibly. The foundation of her being cracked, split, collapsed. Her daughter, her beloved, her everything was gone, taken, lost, in darkness, in death, forever. She did not cry, not yet. Shock was too great, too complete, too devastating. She simply stood for a long moment, processing, understanding, accepting that her world had ended, that everything Everything was gone. And then she moved. With terrible purpose, with devastating determination. She would find her daughter, would bring her back, would reclaim her, would restore everything, no matter what it cost, no matter who opposed her, no matter what. But first the gods would learn, would understand, would feel what it meant to take from Demeter, to steal her daughter, to destroy her happiness. They would learn through hunger, through famine, through starvation. Demeter withdrew her blessing from the entire earth, from every field, every crop, every growing thing. Nothing would grow. Nothing would flourish. Nothing would live until her daughter was returned, until Kor was restored, until her world was whole. Again, the first part ends in grief, in rage, in the beginning of the world's first winter, first famine, first time when the earth stopped giving, stopped growing, stopped living, because a mother's heart was broken, because a daughter was stolen, because the goddess of harvest decided, if I cannot have joy, then no one will have food. Breathe, deep, slow. Let the grief wash over you, then dissolve. Ancient, distant, transformed into myth. Sleep beckons, gentle despite the sorrow, patient despite the pain. Let yourself drift toward it. Let Demeter's grief become a lullaby. Let the earth's barrenness become rest. Float now, between waking and sleeping. Part 2 awaits, but there is no hurry. Grief takes time. Searching takes time. Time means nothing here. Only the story. Only the slow unfolding of loss and seeking and eventual change. Part 2. Searching, grief, and the world's first winter. Deeper now, deeper still. You sink into the earth, like seeds buried, like roots reaching down, like everything that waits in darkness, for spring, for warmth, for return. Breathe, barely, like winter breath, like frozen ground, like everything held in suspension. Waiting. Demeter began to search, to wander, to seek her lost daughter. She left Olympus, left the company of gods, left everything, and walked the earth, alone, desperate, calling her daughter's name. Kor, Kor, where are you? Come back to me. Kor, let that cry echo through your mind. Soft, distant, fading. She walked for 9 days and 9 nights, without rest, without food, without sleep, searching, always searching. She carried 2 torches, lit from Mount Etna, flames that never died, never dimmed. She walked through the darkness, illuminated by her torches, by her desperate need, by her refusal to stop, to give up, to accept that her daughter was gone. Tell me, please, tell me. But tell me, please, tell me. But no one knew, no one had seen, no one could help. The gods were silent, the nymphs were terrified, the mortals knew nothing. Kor had vanished, completely, as if the earth itself had swallowed her, which, in a way, it had. On the 10th day, Demeter encountered Hecate, goddess of magic, of crossroads, of things hidden and revealed. She had heard Kor's scream, had heard the cry when she was taken, but had not seen, had not witnessed had not prevented. But she knew someone who had. Someone who saw everything. From his high seat in the heavens, Helios, the sun god, Titan who had survived, who rode his chariot across the sky each day, who saw everything beneath him, every action, every secret, every truth. If anyone knew what happened to Kor, it would be Helios. He would have seen, would know, would tell. Rest, as Demeter confronts the sun, as truth is revealed, as knowledge becomes devastation. Demeter went to Helios, demanded answers. Tell me, where is my daughter? What happened? Where has she gone? I know you saw. You see everything. Tell me. Now. Helios hesitated. Did not want to be the bearer of such news. Did not want to face a mother's rage, a goddess's grief. But he could not lie. Could not refuse. She deserved to know. Had the right to know. He told her everything. Your daughter was taken by Hades, lord of the underworld. He opened the earth, grabbed her, dragged her below. She is now in his realm, in the land of the dead. She is queen of the underworld, wife of Hades. This was done with Zeus's blessing, with his permission, with his agreement. Your daughter is gone, is married, is lost to you. And then, perhaps trying to comfort, perhaps trying to soften the blow, he added, but it is not such a bad match. Hades is a powerful god, a king, one of the three brothers who rule the cosmos. Your daughter is a queen, is honored, is powerful. She could do worse, much worse. You should be pleased. Breathe deeply as Demeter's rage finally explodes to darkness eternal, to a realm where, to darkness eternal, to a realm where nothing grows, where no flowers bloom, where all is shadow and sorrow. And I should be pleased, because her rapist is powerful, her kidnapper is a king, her prison is prestigious. Demeter's fury was cold, controlled, absolute. She did not rage, did not scream, did not break things. She simply decided. If Zeus had done this, if the king of gods had given her daughter to death, then the gods would pay. The world would pay. Everything would pay. Until her daughter was returned, nothing would grow. Nothing would live. Nothing would be. She left Helios, left the company of gods entirely. She disguised herself as an old woman, mortal, poor, grieving. She wandered, not searching anymore, not seeking her daughter in the world above. She knew where Kor was now, knew she was below, in Hades' realm, in death's domain, unreachable by normal means. But she wandered anyway, because she could not rest, could not accept, could not be without her daughter, without her purpose, without her heart. And as she wandered, as she grieved, the earth began to die, sink into the dying, into the world's first winter, into Demeter's curse made manifest. Crops failed, everywhere, across the entire world. Wheat withered in the fields. Barley turned brown and died. Fruit trees stopped bearing. Vines produced no grapes. Gardens became wastelands. Fields became deserts. Everything died. Farmers planted seed, but nothing grew. They prayed to Demeter, but she did not answer, did not care, did not hear, or if she heard, she did not respond. Why should she save their crops? their harvests, their food, when her own harvest, her daughter, her beloved, was taken, was lost, was dead to her. Let them suffer. Let them starve. Let them learn what loss means, what grief costs, what it is to have everything taken, and be told, "You should be pleased." Animals began to starve. Cattle grew thin. Sheep weakened. Even wild animals, deer, rabbits, birds, all began to suffer, to hunger, to die, because nothing grew, nothing was abundant, nothing provided sustenance, life, hope. Humans began to die. First, the weak, the old, the very young. They could not survive without food, without harvest, without Demeter's blessing. Then the strong began to fail, to weaken, to despair. Entire villages disappeared, cities emptied, civilizations teetered on the edge of collapse. All because a mother grieved, a goddess mourned. The earth refused to give life, rest, as we follow Demeter to Eleusis, as she finds temporary comfort. Demeter wandered to a town called Eleusis, sat by a well, disguised as an old woman, a crone, a grandmother, poor, alone, grieving. The daughters of the local king found her there, took pity, invited her to their home, to their father's palace, to serve as nurse to their infant brother, Demephon, the child, the baby, the innocent. Demeter agreed, grateful for distraction, for purpose, for something to care for, since she could not care for her own child, her own daughter, her own beloved. She would care for this mortal child, this innocent, this baby who knew nothing of gods, of grief, of loss. She nursed Demephon, cared for him with love beyond normal, beyond mortal. She fed him ambrosia, held him in fire, burning away his mortality, making him immortal, making him divine. She was creating a god from a mortal child, giving him what she could not give her daughter: eternal life, eternal youth, eternal safety. Each night, she placed the baby in the hearth fire, let the flames burn away his mortal nature, slowly, carefully, transforming him. The baby did not cry, did not suffer. Fire does not hurt when a goddess controls it, when divine power guides it, when love protects. But one night, the queen, Demephon's mother, saw her infant in the fire, saw what appeared to be her baby burning, being killed, being destroyed. She screamed, rushed forward, grabbed the child, pulled him from the flames, accused Demeter, monster, witch. You would kill my child, burn my baby, destroy my son. Breathe. As Demeter reveals herself, as divinity manifests, as truth unfolds. Demeter dropped her disguise, stood in her true form, tall, radiant, terrible, powerful. I am Demeter, goddess of the harvest. I was making your son immortal, giving him eternal life, eternal youth, eternal glory. But you have interrupted, have interfered, have prevented. The transformation is incomplete. He will be mortal now, will age, will die, because you could not trust, could not wait, could not believe. The queen fell to her knees, terrified, begging forgiveness. The king prostrated himself, offered anything, everything, to appease the goddess, to earn her mercy, to prevent her wrath. Demeter looked at them, these mortals who had shown her kindness, who had taken her in, who had given her purpose, even briefly, even temporarily, even inadequately. She would not curse them, would not punish them, but neither would she stay, would not continue to serve, would not pretend to be something she was not. "Build me a temple," she commanded, "here in Eleusis. Build me a shrine, a place of worship, and I will teach you mysteries, secret rites, sacred knowledge that will bring you comfort, will ease your fear of death, will show you that life continues, that nothing truly dies, that separation is temporary, that reunion is possible." The people of Eleusis obeyed, built her temple, magnificent, sacred, secret. And there Demeter established the Eleusinian mysteries, the most sacred rites in ancient Greece, secret ceremonies, secret knowledge, secret promises that initiates were never allowed to reveal, never allowed to speak of, never allowed to share, on pain of death, on pain of divine curse, on pain of being excluded from the mysteries themselves, from the comfort they offered, from the hope they promised. Let the mysteries remain mysterious. Let the secrets stay secret. Even now, even here, some things should not be revealed, should not be spoken, should remain hidden. Kor was still gone, Kor was still gone, still in the underworld, still lost. And Demeter still mourned. And the earth continued to die, continued to fail, continued to refuse life. Rest now, as the situation becomes desperate, as the gods finally notice. The gods on Olympus were comfortable, safe. They did not need mortal food, did not suffer from famine, did not feel hunger as mortals did. But they noticed, eventually, that something was wrong, that worship was declining, that prayers were fewer, that offerings had stopped, because mortals were dying, were starving, were disappearing. Zeus finally understood, finally realized that Demeter's grief was killing humanity, was destroying the world, was eliminating the very mortals who worshipped gods, who gave them purpose, who made them relevant. If all humans died, if civilization ended, if mortality ceased, then gods would have no one to rule, no one to worship them, no one to give them meaning. They would be alone, irrelevant, forgotten. Zeus sent gods to Demeter to plead with her, to beg her, to restore her blessing, to let things grow again, to save humanity, to save the world. Iris came first, rainbow goddess, messenger, beautiful, gentle. She begged Demeter, "Please, let crops grow again, let abundance return, let life continue." But Demeter refused, sent her away, ignored her pleas. What did she care for crops, for abundance, for life, when her own life, her daughter, her reason for being, was taken, was lost, was dead to her? Demeter made her position clear, absolute, final. I will not return to Olympus, will not restore my blessing, will not let anything grow, until my daughter is returned to me, until Kor is freed, until I hold her again. Nothing will live, nothing will flourish, nothing will be. This is my oath, my promise, my curse. Return my daughter, or watch the world die. Zeus realized he had no choice, no option, no alternative. Demeter would not relent, would not compromise, would not accept anything less than Kor's return. He had created this situation, had given Kor to Hades, had broken Demeter's heart, had started this. He would have to end it, would have to fix it, would have to undo what he had done. He sent Hermes, the messenger god, to the underworld, to Hades, with a command, not a request, a command from the king of gods. Release Persephone. Let her return to her mother. Let her go back to the world above, to light, to life, to Demeter. Sink deeper as we descend to the underworld, as we see what became of Kor, of the stolen daughter, of the unwilling bride. Kor, now called Persephone, queen of the underworld, sat on her throne beside Hades, in the great hall of the dead, surrounded by shadows, by ghosts, by the pale shades of those who had died. She was queen, was honored, was powerful, just as Helios had said. She could have done worse, much worse, but she was miserable, utterly miserable. She hated the darkness, the cold, the absence of life. She missed her mother, missed the meadows, missed flowers and sunlight and growing things, missed everything. She had not eaten, not truly eaten. Since arriving, she refused food, refused to accept, refused to make this home. Hades had been kind, in his way. He had not forced himself on her, had not violated her, had been respectful, patient. He genuinely cared for her, perhaps even loved her, in his cold, dead, distant way. But she did not love him, did not want to be there, did not want to be Queen of Death. When Hermes arrived, when he delivered Zeus's command, Persephone wept. Relief, joy, hope. She would go home, would return to her mother, would see sunlight again, would be free. But Hades was clever, cunning. He knew a secret, a rule of the underworld. Anyone who ate food in the realm of the dead was bound to it, could not leave, completely, could not return to life, fully. They were tied, connected, claimed by death, forever. Rest, as the trick is revealed, as the compromise is forced, before Persephone left, before she departed with Hermes. Hades offered her a pomegranate, just a few seeds, just a small taste, to sustain her on the journey, to give her strength, to remember him by. Persephone, desperate to leave, eager to go, not thinking clearly, took the pomegranate seeds, 6 of them. Some say 4, some say 7. The stories vary, but she ate them, placed them in her mouth, swallowed them. And in that moment, in that simple act, she was bound, tied to the underworld, forever, partially. She did not know, did not understand, until later, until the truth was revealed, until the compromise was explained. She had eaten in the underworld, and now she could not leave. Completely, she was tied to death, to darkness, to Hades. The second part ends in trick, in compromise, in the beginning of a solution that solved nothing, fixed nothing, made everyone partially satisfied, partially miserable, partially whole, and partially broken. Forever. Breathe. Let the complexity settle. Let the compromise unfold in your mind. Then dissolve into sleep, into dreams, into the space where nothing is simple, nothing is complete, nothing is ever fully resolved. Float now, between worlds, between light and dark, between life and death, between mother and daughter, between loss and return. Part 3 awaits, with reunion with joy, with the birth of seasons, with the compromise that creates the cycle we still live in today. Part 3. Reunion, compromise, and the birth of seasons. Deeper still, you drift in the space between, neither fully here nor fully gone, like Persephone herself, like the year divided, like everything that exists in 2 states, 2 modes, 2 realities. Breathe, like spring after winter, like life after death, like return after absence. Persephone returned to the surface, to the world of light. Hermes guided her, up through the layers of earth, through stone and soil, through darkness, toward light. She emerged in Eleusis, at Demeter's temple, where her mother waited, where her mother had been, waiting for so long, for forever, for the only thing that mattered, her daughter's return. Let the reunion unfold, gentle, joyful, perfect, too perfect to last. Demeter saw her daughter, emerging from the earth, from darkness, covered in dust, pale from absence of sun, but alive, present, real, returned, and she ran like she had never run, opened her arms, and embraced her daughter, her lost child, her beloved, her everything. They held each other, mother and daughter, reunited. They wept, they laughed, they spoke over each other. So much to say, so much lost time, so much missed. Persephone told her mother everything. The abduction, the darkness, Hades' treatment of her, the coldness, the loneliness, the despair. And Demeter held her, comforted her, promised her, "You will never return, never go back, never be separated from me again, ever. I promise, I swear, I promise." But then Zeus appeared, with Hermes, with the truth, with the complication. Rest, as the compromise is revealed, as joy turns to bittersweet. Zeus spoke, gently, for once showing wisdom, showing restraint, understanding that this moment was delicate, dangerous, that Demeter's rage could still destroy everything, still end the world, still make the earth forever barren. "Your daughter ate in the underworld," he explained. 6 pomegranate seeds, or 4, or 7. The number matters less than the fact. She ate, and the law of the underworld is clear, is absolute, is unchangeable, even by me. Anyone who eats in the realm of the dead is bound to it, must return, must remain, connected, forever. Again, after this, after reunion, again, after this, after reunion, after hope. You would take her. Again, Zeus raised his hands, placating, explaining. Not take her forever, not completely. A compromise, a balance. The fairest solution possible, given the circumstances, given the law, given the reality. Because Persephone ate, she must spend time in the underworld each year, 1 month for each seed. If 6 seeds, 6 months below, 6 months above. If 4, 4 below, 8 above. The division varies in different tellings, but the principle remains. Part of the year with Hades, part of the year with you, neither fully here nor fully there, neither completely light nor completely dark. Split, divided, shared, between 2 worlds, 2 loves, 2 claims, Breathe deeply as Demeter processes this, as she realizes this is the best she can hope for, the most she can have. Demeter wanted to refuse, wanted to rage, wanted to demand full return, complete restoration, total victory. But she saw the truth in Zeus's words, saw that the law was real, was binding, was unchangeable. Persephone had eaten, had bound herself, had created the obligation, however unwittingly, however innocently, however unfairly. The tie existed, could not be broken, could only be managed. And 6 months, or 8, or whatever the division, was better than never, was better than eternal separation, was better than complete loss. She would have her daughter, for half the year, for most of the year, for enough, maybe enough, maybe almost enough. She agreed, accepted the compromise, embraced the division, made her own promise. When Persephone is with me, when my daughter is in the world above, when I have her, the earth will bloom, will flourish, will overflow with abundance. Spring will come. Summer will be glorious. Harvest will be magnificent. Everything will grow, will live, will be abundant. Blessing. Nothing will grow. Nothing blessing. Nothing will grow. Nothing will flourish. Nothing will live. Winter will come. The earth will sleep, will rest, will wait for her return, for spring, for reunion. And thus, the seasons were born, created from a mother's grief, from a daughter's divided existence, from a compromise that satisfied no one, pleased no one, made everyone partially whole, partially broken, forever. Sink into this new reality, this cycle, this rhythm that defines existence. When Persephone was above, with her mother, walking through meadows, picking flowers, laughing, living, Demeter blessed the earth, made everything grow. Spring came with Persephone's return, green spreading across the world, flowers blooming, trees budding, life returning, abundance emerging. Everything that had slept through winter, waking, growing, living. Again. Summer followed, hot, abundant, the peak of growth, of life, of harvest approaching. Persephone in full bloom, Demeter in full power, the earth giving everything, holding nothing back, overflowing with abundance, with life, with joy, such as it was, such as could be, knowing it was temporary, knowing the end was coming, knowing that autumn would bring separation. Again, harvest came, the cutting down, the gathering in, the preparation for absence, for winter, for the time when nothing grows. Persephone preparing to descend, Demeter preparing to grieve, both knowing, both dreading, both accepting what must be. And then Persephone descended, returned to the underworld, to Hades, to her throne beside the Lord of Death, to her role as Queen of Shadows. And Demeter grieved, withdrew her blessing. Let the earth sleep, let winter come, cold, barren, dead, everything waiting, everything sleeping, everything hoping for spring, for return, for reunion. Again, rest, as we contemplate what this means, what this cycle teaches, what this rhythm creates. The seasons are grief made manifest, Are a mother's sorrow given physical form? Are the earth itself responding to divine emotion, to loss and return, to separation and reunion, to the eternal cycle of presence and absence, of life and death and life? Again, winter is Demeter mourning. Is her tears frozen, her sorrow made cold, her absence of joy reflected in the earth's absence of growth? Everything sleeps, waits, endures, until the beloved returns, until spring, until joy returns. Temporarily. Spring is reunion. Is joy exploding? Is love made visible? Is Demeter's happiness expressed through every flower, every bud, every green shoot pushing through dark soil, everything that seemed dead? Revealing it was only sleeping, only waiting, only hoping. While it lasts, while she remains, while it lasts, while she remains, while there is still time. Autumn is preparation, is the knowledge that loss is coming, is the harvest, the gathering, the storing against winter, the bittersweet knowledge that abundance must end, that joy is temporary, that separation will come again, as it always does, as it always must. In the underworld, as long as she must in the underworld, as long as she must return, as long as Demeter grieves her absence, the seasons will turn, will cycle, will repeat. Life, death, life again, forever. Breathe deeply as we turn to the Eleusinian mysteries, to the secret rites, to the sacred knowledge Demeter shared. Demeter taught the people of Eleusis, and through them, all who were initiated, all who underwent the secret rites, all who swore oaths of silence. She taught them mysteries, secret knowledge about death, about afterlife, about the cycle of life and death and rebirth. The mysteries promised that death is not the end, that separation is temporary, that those we love who die are not lost, are simply gone ahead, are waiting, will be reunited with us. Eventually, inevitably, certainly, just as Persephone returns each spring, just as winter gives way to spring, just as death gives way to life again. Initiates underwent secret rituals, secret ceremonies, secret experiences that changed them, that gave them comfort, that removed their fear of death, that promised them hope, reunion, continuity. The mysteries were the most sacred rites in ancient Greece, more sacred than the Olympics, more important than any public festival, because they dealt with the most fundamental human fear: death, loss, separation from those we love. And the mysteries remained secret, absolutely secret. For over 1,000 years, initiates kept the secrets, kept the silence, kept the oath, even on pain of death, even when tortured, even when nothing could make them speak. They kept the mysteries, mysterious, and so they remain. Even now, even here, we do not know exactly what happened, what was shown, what was revealed, what brought comfort, what gave hope. But we know it was connected to Demeter's grief, to Persephone's return, to the cycle of seasons, to the promise that what seems lost can be found, what seems dead can live, what seems ended can begin again. Rest now. As the third part ends, as the cycle is established, as the rhythm becomes eternal, Demeter and Persephone found their rhythm, their pattern, their way of being that was not what they wanted, not what they would have chosen, but was what they had, what they could manage, what they could survive. Each spring, reunion, joyful, desperate, knowing it was temporary, knowing the clock was ticking, knowing autumn would come. They cherished every moment, every day, every hour together, made memories, stored joy, prepared for the separation they knew was coming. Each autumn, separation, painful, necessary, unavoidable. Persephone descended, Demeter grieved, the earth slept, and they both waited, endured, hoped for spring, for return, for reunion. Again, Persephone changed, over the years, over the centuries. She was no longer just core, just the maiden, just the daughter. She became Persephone, queen of the underworld, powerful, regal, dual-natured. She learned to rule, to judge the dead, to be queen. She even came to not love Hades exactly, but respect him, understand him, accept him as her husband, her partner, her other half. She was split between two worlds, two identities, two selves. Above she was core, daughter, maiden, innocent, picking flowers, laughing, free. Below she was Persephone, queen, judge, ruler, powerful, respected, feared. Neither self was complete without the other. Neither identity was fully her. She was both, and neither, simultaneously, forever. Rather than despairing over the time she had, rather than despairing over the time she didn't, to make peace with a compromise that would never feel like enough, but was all she had, all she would get, all she could have. The seasons turned, cycled, repeated. Life, death, life. Again, forever. The rhythm of existence, the pattern of all things, created from grief, from loss, from a mother's love that could not prevent, could not protect, could not save her daughter from being divided, split, shared, between worlds, between loves, between everything. Sleep pulls at you now, strongly, irresistibly. The cycle turns. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, and back again. Forever turning, forever cycling, forever. Teaching us that loss is temporary, that return is possible, that winter always, eventually, gives way to spring. Let go. Let the third part end. Let yourself drift into the final part, or into dreams, or into nothing. Whatever comes, whatever offers. Peace. The boundary dissolves. The cycle continues. Part 4 waits, with legacy, with meaning, with the eternal truth that Demeter teaches about loss, about love, about the rhythm of life and death and life. Again, forever. Part 4, legacy, mysteries, and the eternal cycle. The deepest darkness, the final depth, where consciousness becomes questionable, where you exist but barely, where you are and are not, like seeds in winter soil, dormant, waiting, hoping for spring. Breathe, if this whisper of exchange can be called breathing, this minimal continuation, this barely there persistence of being. Demeter endured, as the earth endures, as mothers endure, as all who love and lose and love again endure, through cycles, through seasons, through the eternal rhythm of presence and absence, of joy and grief, of life and death and life. Again, let the centuries flow, like seasons, like the endless turning of the year. like everything that repeats forever. The worship of Demeter spread beyond Eleusis, beyond Athens, beyond Greece, wherever grain grew, wherever bread was eaten, wherever mothers loved children, wherever harvest mattered. Demeter was honored, prayed to, needed, essential to survival, to civilization, to life itself. Her festivals mark the agricultural year, the rhythm of planting and harvest, of sowing and reaping, of labor and reward, the Thesmophoria, sacred to Demeter and Persephone, celebrated by women, married women, mothers. They performed secret rites, secret ceremonies, ensuring fertility, ensuring abundance, ensuring the earth would continue to give life, to create life, to nurture growth, to create life, to nurture growth, to suffer loss, to endure separation, to find strength in survival, in continuing, in hoping for return. The Eleusinian mysteries continued, grew, became the most sacred rites in the ancient world. Initiates came from across the Mediterranean, seeking comfort, seeking hope, seeking the secret knowledge that would ease their fear of death, of loss, of separation from those they loved. Great people were initiated, philosophers, statesmen, poets, generals, rich and poor, slave and free. All were welcome if they spoke Greek, if they had not murdered, if they were willing to undergo the rites, to swear the oath of silence, to join the community of those who knew the mysteries, the secrets, the hope that Demeter offered. Rest, as we hear what initiates said, what they could say, without violating their oaths. They could not describe what they saw, what they experienced, what was revealed in the telesterion, the great hall where the final mysteries were shown. But they could speak of the effect, of how it changed them, of what it meant. Initiates said, "I no longer fear death. I have seen the truth. I know what lies beyond. I know that separation is temporary, that reunion is certain, that those I love who die are not lost, are simply waiting." They said, "The mysteries showed me that life continues, that nothing truly ends, that the cycle is eternal. Birth, life, death, rebirth, like grain planted, growing, harvested, planted again, like Persephone descending, returning, descending again, like winter, spring, winter, spring, forever." They said, "I went to Eleusis afraid. I returned without fear, not because death is pleasant, but because I understand it now. Understand that it is part of the cycle, part of the rhythm, part of the eternal pattern of existence." And they kept the secrets, absolutely, for over 1,000 years. Initiates never revealed what they saw, what they experienced, what gave them hope. The penalty for revealing the mysteries was death. But more than that, more powerful than any penalty, was the understanding that some things are sacred. Some things should remain secret. Some mysteries should stay mysterious, sink deeper, as Greece gives way to Rome, as the world transforms, as Demeter becomes Ceres. Rome conquered Greece, took everything, including the gods. Demeter became Ceres, goddess of agriculture, of grain, of the harvest. The Romans emphasized different aspects, different qualities. They were practical, focused on the agricultural aspects more than the emotional, more on the harvest than the grief, more on the cycle of crops than the cycle of separation and reunion. But the essential truth remained. Ceres was the goddess who made grain grow, who blessed the harvest, who ensured abundance. Without her, Rome would starve, would fail, would end. She was essential, irreplaceable, fundamental to survival. Roman festivals honored her, the Cerealia in April, celebrating the grain, thanking the goddess for her blessing, asking her to continue to provide, to continue to make the earth fertile, abundant, life-giving. The word cereal comes from her name, Ceres, the grain goddess. Even now, millennia later, every bowl of cereal, every grain consumed, every harvest celebrated, echoes her name, honors her memory, acknowledges her gift. And the mysteries continued, even under Rome, even as Christianity spread, even as the old gods were declared false. The mysteries persisted because people needed them, needed the comfort they offered, needed the hope they promised, needed to believe that death was not the end. Rest. As Christianity rises, as the mysteries finally end. In 392 CE, the Roman Emperor Theodosius I, a Christian, ordered the closure of all pagan temples, the end of all pagan worship. The Eleusinian mysteries, after nearly 2,000 years, were forbidden. The temple was closed. The rites were ended. The secrets were finally lost. Or were they? Some scholars believe the mysteries influenced early Christianity, the themes of death and rebirth, of the dying and rising God, of the promise of eternal life, of the hope that separation from loved ones is temporary. These themes appear in both. Did one influence the other? Did the mysteries shape Christianity? Or did both draw from the same deep human needs, the same fears, the same hopes? We cannot know. The secrets died with the last initiates, died when the temple closed, died when the mysteries ended. And perhaps that is fitting. Perhaps some things should remain mysterious, should be lost, should belong only to those who experienced them, who felt them, who were transformed by them. Breathe deeply as we move through the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, the modern world. Demeter faded, was forgotten, or nearly forgotten, remembered only in texts, in stories copied by monks, in ancient myths preserved not because they were believed, but because they were. Literature, culture, history, worth saving even if no longer. Worshipped. But the Renaissance brought rediscovery. Classical learning returned. Artists painted Demeter again, showed her grief, her loss, her eternal searching, showed the mother mourning, the goddess grieving, the divine embodiment of maternal love and maternal loss. Writers invoked her, used her story to explore themes of loss, of separation, of the pain of loving someone you cannot protect, cannot keep safe, cannot prevent from being taken. The story resonated, still resonates, because every parent knows this fear, this helplessness, this terrible understanding that we cannot protect those we love from everything, from everyone, from fate. And slowly, Demeter became something more than a goddess, became a symbol, an archetype, a representation of motherhood itself, of maternal love, of the grief that comes from loving so deeply, so completely. That loss becomes unbearable, transformative, world-ending. Sink into the modern age, into now, into what Demeter means today. Demeter appears in modern retellings, in books, movies, television. Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series features her, the goddess of agriculture, mother of many children, protector of nature. She is nurturing but also fierce, protective, willing to do anything, risk anything, sacrifice anything, to protect her children, to keep them safe, to prevent them from being taken, lost, harmed. The story of Demeter and Persephone is retold constantly, reinterpreted, reimagined. Sometimes Hades is villain, sometimes he is sympathetic, sometimes Persephone is victim, sometimes she chooses, sometimes she even wants to stay. The story is complex, allows for multiple interpretations, multiple understandings, multiple truths. But the core remains. A mother loses her daughter, grieves, searches, refuses to accept the loss, will destroy the world rather than live without her child, and eventually finds a compromise. Not perfect, not what she wanted, but better than nothing, better than total loss, better than never. This story resonates because every parent understands it. The fear of losing your child, the helplessness when they are hurt, taken, changed by forces beyond your control, the desperate need to protect, to keep safe, to prevent any harm from touching them. And the compromise resonates too, because life is full of compromises, of partial victories, of getting some of what you need but not all, of learning to live with loss as a permanent condition, of finding joy in what you have rather than despairing over what you don't. Rest. As we contemplate the seasons themselves, Demeter's eternal legacy. Every year, the seasons turn. Spring comes after winter. Summer follows spring. Autumn brings harvest. Winter brings rest. And the cycle begins again. This is Demeter's gift, or her curse, or both. The rhythm she created from her grief, the pattern she imposed on the world because she could not accept. Complete loss, total separation, eternal absence. Spring is hope, is return, is the promise that what seemed dead was only sleeping, that winter ends, that absence is temporary, that reunion is possible. Every flower that blooms, every tree that buds, every green shoot that pushes through soil, is Persephone returning, is Demeter rejoicing, is love manifested as life, as growth, as beauty. Summer is abundance, is presence, is having what you need, what you love, what completes you, is the fullness of life, the peak of growth, the time when everything is possible, everything is available, everything is here, now, present. It is Demeter and Persephone together, mother and daughter, complete, whole, happy, for now, for this moment, for as long as it lasts. Autumn is bittersweet, is harvest but also decline, is abundance but also ending, is the gathering, the preparation for absence, for winter, for separation. Again, it is beautiful but sad, rich but tinged with loss, full but already emptying. It is the knowledge that summer cannot last, that presence is temporary, that separation is coming, soon, too soon, inevitably. Winter is grief made visible, is absence made tangible, is the world reflecting Demeter's sorrow, her loss, her loneliness. Everything sleeps, waits, endures, in the cold, in the dark, in the barrenness, hoping, always hoping, for spring, for return, for reunion, for the cycle to complete, to begin again. This cycle teaches us that loss is not the end, that separation is temporary, that winter always, eventually, gives way to spring, that grief is real but not eternal, that absence hurts but does not destroy, that we can survive losing what we love most, can endure separation, can wait through winter, and find joy again when spring returns. Let your breathing fade to nothing, to barely perceptible whispers, to the edge of sleep. Somewhere, if you choose to believe, Demeter walks still, through golden fields, through meadows full of flowers, with her daughter beside her, for half the year, for the blessed time when Persephone is above, when they are together, when the world blooms. She smiles, laughs, enjoys the presence, knowing it is temporary, knowing autumn will come, knowing separation will follow, but choosing joy now, choosing presence now, choosing love now. Because it is what she has, because it is enough, almost enough, because it must be enough. And when autumn comes, when Persephone must descend, when separation cannot be avoided, Demeter grieves, but not as she once did, not with the world-ending despair, not with the rage that killed everything. She grieves, but she also waits, hopes, knows that spring will come, that her daughter will return, that reunion is not just possible but certain, inevitable, promised. This is wisdom. This is acceptance. This is learning to live with loss as a permanent condition while still finding joy in presence, still celebrating reunion, still hoping for return. Or perhaps the goddess is gone, has always been gone, existed only as explanation, as personification of natural cycles we did not understand. Demeter is the earth itself, the cycle of seasons, the rhythm of growth and decay and growth again. She is what we feel when we plant seeds, hoping they will grow. When we harvest grain, grateful for abundance. When we endure winter, waiting for spring. She is the pattern itself, made personal, made comprehensible, made divine. Either way, the truth remains. The cycle continues. Winter, spring, summer, autumn, and back again, forever. The earth sleeps, the earth wakes, the earth gives, the earth rests. Life, death, life, again. This is Demeter's legacy. This is her gift. This is her curse. This is reality, made mythic, made sacred, made bearable. Let consciousness fade completely. Let thought dissolve. Let everything go. Demeter teaches us that love is worth the pain of loss, that motherhood is joy and grief intertwined, that protecting our children is impossible and necessary, that compromises are how we survive, that partial victories are still victories, that winter ends, that spring returns, that hope is reasonable, that grief is real but not eternal, that we can survive losing what we love most and still find joy when it returns. This is her wisdom, her gift, her eternal lesson, the cycle, the rhythm, the pattern of life and death and life again, made divine, made purposeful, made meaningful. Let the story end now. Let it fade into perfect silence, into complete darkness, into the deep sleep of winter soil, waiting for spring, waiting for return, waiting for life again. You have heard the story of Demeter, from birth in darkness to freedom in light, from divine calling to divine grief, from world-ending loss to world-saving compromise, from eternal mourning to eternal cycle. You know her now. Understand her. Recognize in her the love that risks everything, the grief that changes everything, the hope that sustains everything, the mother, the mourner, the goddess who made seasons from sorrow and life, from loss. Breathe one final time, deep, slow, last, and let everything go. Let consciousness cease. Let sleep claim you completely, perfect, total, like winter, like dormancy, like seeds waiting in dark soil for spring that will come, that always comes, that must come. Sleep. Demeter watches over you, the mother goddess, the grain giver, the season maker, she who knows loss and return, grief and joy, winter and spring. She protects your sleep, guards your rest, promises you that darkness is temporary, that winter ends, that spring always returns. Sleep. The wheat grows golden in summer fields, the flowers bloom in spring meadows, the earth rests in winter's embrace, and always, always, the cycle continues. Life, death, life, again, forever. Demeter's rhythm, Demeter's gift, Demeter's eternal cycle. Sleep. The end and the beginning, forever. Like the seasons, like the cycle, like everything that ends only to begin again. Winter, spring, summer, autumn, forever turning, forever cycling, forever teaching us that nothing truly ends, nothing is truly lost. Everything returns, in time, in season, in the eternal rhythm of life. Rest well, dream deep. The goddess watches, the seasons turn, the cycle continues, and spring, always, eventually, comes. Sleep.